Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Gen X Dad and his Gen Z Teens podcast. This is a program that takes a lighthearted look at generational differences about all sorts of topics. We explore everything from pop culture to history to relationships to politics, but only at a very shallow level. We don't aim to be controversial or be the authoritative voice on any topic. We're not social scientists or scientists of any sort for that matter. We're just here to talk about things that we think are fun and important, and we will just enjoy talking about. Also, it is my opportunity to publicly and on the record prove that I'm right and my teens are wrong in all cases, and that the 80s and 90s were absolutely the best time to grow up. All right, our topic for today is sports heroes. Okay, from my experience and my travels, this is not unique to the United States. Every culture looks up to their standout athletes and turns them into some sort of heroes of sort. I mean, it goes all the way back to ancient Greece and the original Olympics. If you won an Olympic event in ancient Greece, I mean, the whole country knew you. Even if you were in a city that was in a war with one of the other cities, they knew who you were and they looked up to you. It's a big deal. It is, I guess, just part of human nature. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that today. All right. The 80s certainly had its share of great athletes and heroes, starting with one of the greatest rivalries of all time, which would be NBA legends Larry Bird and Magic Johnson. It was amazing to watch them. It just invigorated people to watch the NBA, and everybody knew about them, and everybody looked up to them, even if you didn't particularly like one of them for whatever reason. I tended to pull for the Celtics, but I like watching Magic Johnson. And the Lakers, they were exciting. In football, the 49ers and Joe Montana were just huge. Everybody knew who he was. He was a top quarterback, I think, by far in the league. The other one was a team, which would be the 1985 Chicago Bears. They were incredible to watch. They were dominant the year that they won the Super Bowl. Until everybody adapted to what they were doing, but they were incredible. And then the final one I would say for me in this moment would be Carl Lewis, who in the 1984 Olympics repeated Jesse Owens' feat of 4 gold medals in track and field, and did it in the same events, the 100, the 200, the long jump, and then the 4x100. Carl Lewis was just incredible, and it was so much fun to watch him and do it in record fashion. We all looked up to him and all wanted to be him. And then, one of the GOATs of all time, which I guess is part of the GOAT, but Michael Jordan. By the end of the decade, he was everywhere, and his star was just getting brighter and brighter and brighter. So those are some of the names from the 80s that I followed. Let's talk about who you guys like and follow. So I'll start it out. Is there any one particular person that comes to mind immediately that you definitely follow and look up to?
I think one of them I would say would be Joe Burrow, and especially kind of right at the end of his college career with LSU, where I still believe that 2019 team was probably one of the best college football teams ever. And just kind of the way that his journey through college football from Ohio to LSU, and then from his first time at LSU to what he ended up becoming, I think was impressive. And just the way that 2019 team carried themselves and the way they were on the field all the way through to the national championships was just is still kind of just amazing. And the things they were able to do were just really impressive.
Cool, yeah, definitely. Joe Burrow for right now. I still think his star is rising, and hopefully he'll stay healthy and really make a name for himself in the NFL the same way that he's done in college. Okay, what about you?
I don't really follow anybody specifically. It's more of just certain teams that look pretty good at the time.
Okay, so is there one in particular that you are following right now?
I'm following the Ravens right now because I think they have what it takes, and it was one of the few teams that could beat the Chiefs finally.
Okay, well, that'll be exciting. Well, then in this case, let me throw some names out at you and let's just talk a little bit about them. So, first off, I mean, one of the greats that is still playing right now, LeBron James. What do you think about LeBron?
Yeah, I think he's definitely up there with kind of some of the NBA all-time greats. I wouldn't say he's probably not the greatest, but he's definitely up there. But I think he's definitely starting to show his age a little bit. I mean, he broke the scoring record, which is pretty amazing. But I think he had his prime, and I think you're starting to see there's starting to become a new generation of these NBA stars. Obviously there's Victor Wembanyama and Ja Morant and some of these other guys that are kind of starting to step up there and start to become kind of the new class of NBA stars.
Okay, what do you have any thoughts on LeBron?
I mean, he's good. I wouldn't say he's like the greatest of all time or anything like that, but he's definitely good, and he's still decent, especially for his age and how the game has changed since he started.
Okay, all right. Oof. Let me give this name out, all right? Tom Brady. What do you think about Tom Brady?
I mean, I think he is objectively one of the greatest NFL players of all time. I mean, you can't really... I mean, just looking at his record, there's not really anything you can take away from him. Obviously, his run with the Patriots and that whole dynasty throughout that whole time, and then he showed that he can leave and go do it somewhere else with the Bucs. I think just he turned into one of the greatest NFL quarterbacks of all time, and I think there's no really way you can argue with that.
Okay, any thoughts on Tom Brady?
He's the GOAT.
Fair enough. All right, let's change sports a little bit. Let's talk about baseball.
I think Shohei Ohtani is going to be one of the best players ever. I mean, he kind of already is right now, but he's still young, and there's still like a lot of room for him to grow and really just become the best.
Okay, do you want to comment on him, or what about Bryce Harper? Bryce Harper, anyone?
I don't really care about him.
All right. We'll see what happens, with both of them going forward. They've now been in the league for an amount of time, but they're still big, popular players. Any other baseball players? No. All right. Any hockey? Mark Stone? No. I like him. He plays for the Vegas Golden Knights. All right. What about Olympic-type athletes? We got the Olympics coming up this summer. Anybody?
Noah Lyles on Team USA in track and field, I think is kind of coming in and sort of making a change to the sport. I think he's brought a lot of kind of swagger and confidence and kind of a showmanship that track and field has sort of lacked recently, ever since Bolt retired. And he's been really impressive on the track between the 100, his specialty, the 200, and the relays, and some of the indoor events. So I think he'll be fun to watch at this Olympics, for sure.
Okay, and that's coming up. That's starting next month. We'll have the Olympic trials, and then in August will be the Olympics themselves. Any predictions on how you think the U.S. will do?
I mean, we've always done pretty well. I think this year will be no different, especially in track. We have a pretty good group of new athletes that I think will, especially throughout the years, continue to grow and improve and show out for the U.S.
All right. Any last comments? Man, tough crowd. There's a lot of great athletes. I mean, every generation has their own. Maybe as you guys will get more into watching the things, you'll do that. But, the 80s, you guys have heard of Larry Bird. You've heard of Magic Johnson. Michael Jordan. So, again, this is one that now other generations will have heard of Tom Brady and LeBron James for sure. It's just fun to talk about, and it's fun to reminisce, and it is fun to go back and watch some of those games that those guys played. So do you guys have any final thoughts or anything for this? One last shout out? Okay. Well, that's it. That's all we have for today. Thanks for listening. We appreciate any support that you give, and we look forward to talking to you guys again next week. This has been the Gen X Dad and his Gen Z teens. Thanks.